Our world today is teetering on the edge of burnout. Just everybody you know, everybody you talk to, seems like they're running out of energy. And we can't fix the world, but we might be able to fix ourselves. So what we want to talk about now is how playfulness, adding playfulness to our life, can be an antidote to burnout. Before we start, though, please note that we're not talking about playing at the expense of other people. And we've all known people that were just a little too playful. They couldn't take anything seriously. And sometimes they do damage. They play rough. They tease too much. Or maybe they engage in flirtation and they set up heartbreak and disappointment. So we're not talking about that. When we talk about playfulness, we're talking about bringing a kind of spirit to our lives that invigorates us, not one that has the negative side effects. Also, we're not making a psychiatric evaluation here. So if you're suffering from clinical depression, you need more than playfulness. You need professional help. And this is not meant to be a substitute for that at all. But children who play come back refreshed and they enjoy it. In fact, they want to go out and play again. And if we could just maintain that attitude as we go through life, then we would probably never work a day in our life. If we choose something that we love to do and then maintain the spirit of playfulness as we engage in it to the proper degree, we'll find that we can keep our work refreshing. Now, music is a great window into the world of play because it's not called working music, it's called playing music. I used to think that perhaps the term amateur meant second class, like an amateur musician was not as proficient as a professional. And that might be true. In some fields like sports and medicine, we don't want just an amateur. We'd like a professional to treat us. But with many things on this planet, having somebody who is an amateur can be just as good. And why is that? Well, it has to do with the meaning of the word amateur. Instead of meaning second rate, amateur means a lover of. In fact, the root word is related to amor, which means love. So when somebody is a lover of music or a lover of photography, a lover of poetry, it doesn't mean that they're necessarily less capable than somebody who makes their living doing it. Not too long ago, I attended an event where the band was all amateur musicians. They were medical professionals by day and lovers of music on their own time. And I'll tell you that the quality of that entertainment did not suffer one bit for the fact that they weren't getting paid for providing the entertainment. Now, another window into the world of play and what it can do for us is to look at the Montessori method of education. If you're not familiar with the Montessori method, I recommend you do a little bit of research, learn about it, and I'm not going to go into great depth about what it's like, but here's a key. They turn education around, and instead of making it easy on the teacher and hard on the students, they make it easy on the students and a little harder on the teacher. You see, the students go to school and it's more like play. In fact, they get to choose the area where they're going to play, and they get to play with all kinds of toys and crafts, and then it's the teacher's responsibility to help the student to learn things like social studies and history and math and etiquette, all the things that they might teach in a regular classroom, but they do it using the environment that the student chooses. So let's say there's a kitchen environment and a child wants to go in and play house, cook. Can you teach fractions in the kitchen? You know, that might be the very best place to learn about fractions. Cut the pie in half. Now, cut each half in half. And what do you have? You have quarters, eighths. You see, the teacher has to figure out how to teach math. The student thinks they're playing house. And all of those lessons that we can teach in the regular classroom can be taught in a much more playful way. And here's the key. The students that come through the Montessori method do not score below the average of traditional education. In fact, if anything, they average a higher level of retention. And they certainly enjoy the process much more than if they have to go and line up and sit at desks and color inside the lines, all the things that typical education involves. So nothing against the educational system, but when the lines between study and play are blurred, the children enjoy it more, they remain more engaged, and they don't suffer. Their test scores are just as high, if not higher, than their peers. So what do we want to do? We want to add playfulness, a healthy degree of playfulness to our lives, and maintain it over the course of our lives. If we can play every day, even when it comes to doing the job that we've chosen to do, bring a healthy level of play into it, then we're going to have less stress. And it's that stress that builds up and accumulates and turns into burnout, sometimes without warning. Play also boosts creativity. When we're stressing and just efforting, very often ideas don't come to us. But when you're enjoying a playful spirit, creativity comes unbidden. We end up with ideas that we never would have gotten otherwise. We set new goals for our lives. We come to conclusions that we wouldn't have come to otherwise. Play also helps us to build social connections. In fact, if you play with people, playing music or playing sports, you're likely to come away with greater social connections than you would get just working with people. Play also restores our energy levels. So the same amount of physical exertion in boring, dull work, the same amount of exertion in refreshing play, the refreshing play leaves us with more energy at the end. And we're invigorated. Whereas maybe burning the same amount of calories or the same amount of energy doing something that is dull will leave us closer to a deficit when it comes to our energy levels. So what do we want to do? You and I want to foster a sense of healthy playfulness. We want to look for opportunities to bring it into our lives, perhaps even to acquire a reputation for being somebody who always lightens the load, who brings a healthy spirit of playfulness to everything that they do. We're going to have more fun in the process, and we're also going to see the value that we bring as individuals. It's going to help us with our personal growth and development. So why don't we continue to commit to building character and add healthy playfulness to the equation so that we can stay as far away from burnout as possible.